Like to say good afternoon, everybody. What I'm actually here to talk about today is going to be the multi-employer pension plans. It's going to be something that's near and dear to all of us. Some of us are a lot closer to retirement than others. So, but pay attention now because the information that I've got to tell you today is definitely going to affect all of us. Last February of 2018, there was a joint committee that was made for Congress to look into the default of multi-employer pension plans. And with this, they've come around and they've come up with some ideals or information as to what they wanted to present to Congress on resolving this issue. How the multi-employer pension plans work, it's kind of like an umbrella that we all have our pensions, kind of our own individual pensions, but then they're all under one umbrella that Congress created back in, I believe it was 1974. And that was actually supposed to be a backup plan if any pension fund failed. Unfortunately, throughout the last 20, 30 years or so, pension funds have been starting to go bankrupt. There's just not enough funding in those pension plans. Right now, there's 3 of them that are in severe trouble. The problem with those 3 pension funds being in severe problems like that is it's going to affect the rest of the pensions. So in our particular case, I am going to be talking about the NECA IBEW pension. But there again, we have the Teamsters, we have all of the building trades, we have bakers, miners, this goes on and on. So this is a very huge problem that if something's not done extremely quick, it's going to be a bigger issue in the future. And by the future, I mean within the next 5 to 7 years. It could literally be bankrupt. So what was created back in 1974 was the Pension Benefit Gratuity Corporation. And basically what that is all the funds pay into that, and it was supposed to be built up so if someone defaulted, they would withdraw from that fund and put it into the defaulted fund. And everybody was rated either on green, yellow, or red. If depending on the amount of liability that you actually had. So green, you're doing good, there's no problems. Yellow, you're pretty much watching it. Red, you're on the verge of losing your pension fund. So with the 3 that have now defaulted, they're going to have to, I guess the best way that you can look at this is the PBGC has it's 2.3 billion in assets. They were paying out 160 billion last year. So how is this thing ever going to sustain itself? It's looking pretty bleak right now. So last Wednesday, we were actually in Washington, D.C. We actually got the phone call the Wednesday before, the day before Thanksgiving, to see if we can have people meet in Washington, D.C. to kind of get a handle on this specific issue, because they're literally going to have this written and sent to Congress within 2 days. So on the November 30th, Senator Hatch and Senator Brown was actually supposed to represent to the rest of the committee their findings and their dealings. Only problem with this is they never spoke to the 2 largest pension holders, which one of those would be the West Coast Teamsters, West Pacific Teamsters, which is the #1 pension holders. They're sitting at $30.2 billion. The #2 pension is the IBEW. And we have, I believe the number is 16.8 billion. So these numbers are not small. I mean, it's definitely going to be mind-boggling as to how we're going to get a handle on this. But if the senators are able to do these, make these changes in the next year, so 2019, they weren't able to do anything in 2018 to this point, but in 2019, if they tried to make these changes without either one of these two being at the table, that could literally default both of our pensions within a matter of 5 years. I mean, we could literally, this thing's been going off all day. So my butt's vibrating, sorry. But anyway, sorry about that. The reason that this is going to affect all of us is because they either have to cut the benefit, they're going to have to tax it, or they're going to have to let it go defunct. So this money has to come from somewhere. Right now, they're looking at trying to get it all from us, which we don't really think that's fair because ours is solvent. We have done exactly what we were supposed to do, and that was take care of ourselves. We made the adjustments. We took the funds out of our checks and put it towards our pension for a later date for it to be there. Now, for you, Rebecca, that has been one of the biggest selling points for me in our apprenticeship, is our pension plan. Now to have to turn around and tell somebody that it's possibly, it will be there, but at a lesser amount, that will be, devastating to us. For somebody who's getting ready to retire, it's going to be the same thing. You're going to be planning on having those funds on a specific date, specific amount, and this is what was promised to you over your entire career. And you get to the very end, and there's not nearly the amount that it was supposed to be. I'm talking on NEBF right now. I'm not giving specific numbers because it's always going to change, but that's just one that we would possibly have. There's 116 different locals in the IBEW that has multiple pension plans. So they will have the national plan and they'll have their local plan. So if the senators had their way, this individual, and I'm going to speak upon myself to begin with, you would be taxed on this, on the national plan, the NECA IBEW plan, or I'm sorry, the NEBF, as the member. The contractor has to pay it, then the local has to pay it. So that's just with one of the pension. This is going to happen twice. So a person's getting taxed 6 times off of his pension. Where's the fairness of that's going to be to anybody? And how's that going to be a selling point for our apprentices coming up and for the journeymen who are just getting ready to retire? So, solution. There is a solution to this, and it's called the Butch-Lewis Act of 2017. And basically what that says is that the funds that are getting ready to default, that they could actually use the PBGC and ask for a loan. And it would be like a 30-year loan. So if you're $1 billion short, you would borrow that $1 billion, make your payments, and then over the 30-year period, pay it back plus interest. And that would actually save the rest of the funds from having to chip in. Now, I don't think there's going to be any issue with IBEW or any other pension funds actually chipping in to make sure that this stays solvent, but to sink us all would probably be the wrong thing to do. So what I was going to ask you guys to do is, if you can, when you go back home, first of all, look up I think she's already done it, look up the Butch-Lewis Act of 2017, and also look up the multi-employer pension plans and see what kind of issues they may have in your area. Well, nationally, but it will be definitely the NEBF. But if you can also contact your senators, congressmen, and let them know, hey, you do not approve of what's about to happen to this. And I can just about guarantee you, just as quickly as this came about here a week or so ago, it's going to pop up again fairly soon. So we will have to address it. And as a group, this is something that we're all going to have to deal with. So, any questions?
Yeah. Well, it's sobering. I mean,
That's why I want to go last.
it's, yeah.
That's why I want to go last.